My name's Gabrielle and I live here in Gordon. So what excited me about this project? Well, we had a major leaking roof issue here, which was ongoing for a number of years. So the most exciting thing for me here was to actually not have buckets collecting water every time it rained. So just fixing a leaking roof problem, which had created havoc for us for years. We'd spent time, my son and I, climbing up on the roof. We had a tarp put on the roof. We had to go up there and adjust it every time there was a big windstorm to make sure that it wasn't leaking through into the room again. This room here wasn't really a functional room for years because we had this leaking issue and we'd done a lot of things to try and rectify the issue, but obviously there was a bigger need to fix it. For me, I'm not a design person at all. So for me to have to think about how to design a kitchen, I had no idea. Like, I'd get my House and Garden magazine and have a look and see some styles and trawl the internet. But when you haven't looked at any of these things before and been time poor, it was a nightmare for me. I didn't know where to start, where to look. Angie came to my rescue. She gave me some options to look at. And honestly, at the time, my focus was on the roof. I wanted to get the roof leak fixed. And the kitchen was kind of a secondary thing. It was almost like, yes, that will do. Pick that, yes, that'll be fine. I didn't really think about what would go into the kitchen, what it would look like. The things I did know is I used to have a black bench top and I hated the black bench top. And because this is kind of a bushy area, I like things to be light and bright. And so my vision was to have a very light, bright kitchen. So Angie came up with some suggestions for what to do, and I'm really glad because she gave me a palette to sort of look at things, and she had some suggestions, which is kind of exactly what I was thinking, what I had in mind. So she was able to take the ideas I had, present some ideas to me, which turned into what we have here. Budget, everything was as expected. So right on budget, no unexpected, and we were lucky because there were no unexpected things that we discovered along the journey. There were some additional things that came up along the way, but that was additional things that I had to decide yes or no, do I want to do this? And that was all kind of personal decisions at the time, and whether I could do it or couldn't do it. There were things that I had to decide along the way. The extra things that were suggested by Interlock were actually things that have made a massive difference to the final finished product. For example, extending the floorboards out, the new floorboards out to the existing area in this space here, transformed this area. Painting the whole hallway so that the whole area looks fresh and new, just transform that space. Selecting the Illume skylights in the hallway as well, just an amazing transformation of that space. So they were additional things that weren't in the original budget, but they've just made a massive difference to the final, to what we have here now. So construction, well, that was a challenge for me and my family. So I have 3 teenagers and we couldn't move out through the construction phase. So we had to be here when everything was happening. And I kind of talked through the journey with the kids and like what's going to happen. But I don't think any of us could really contemplate what we're about to embark on. It was disruptive, but I mean, Interlock were fantastic. They did everything possible to try and make it to make the disruption as minimal as possible for us. So my son's doing HSC this year. My daughter was doing HSC last year. We started the project at the end of my daughter's HSC so that it was less disruptive for her. My son started this year, but his bedroom is backing onto the kitchen wall here. So I requested that they put a wall in for him first, so it was less disruptive for him. And that was the first thing they did to make sure that his part of the build, like he had his space back and that he could get on with, focusing on study, which is what was important for him. The The builders, everyone who was here on site was really respectful, very polite. I love the fact that every Friday afternoon there was a clean-up and you had the place looking as clean as you can have a construction site for the weekend, so that you can feel as normal as possible in your space for the weekend. We had, there was noise and other things, but I was kept abreast of what was going to happen, so that we knew when there would be, for me, if I was working from home, I knew when there was going to be a noisy day, for example. But yes, and everyone, it's just little things that made a big difference, that made the whole process a lot more bearable for us, being, just the other side of a plastic wall, or, with all the different things that we had to contend with. Starting this project, I think the first time I had discussions with Interlock was in 2023, and they were recommended to us by a friend of ours who'd had some work done with them. And we actually went to their house and had a look at all the work that had been done. We talked through the whole process with this family, and they gave a really good recommendation, and we saw what had been done in their house, and it was impressive. So we knew that they were certainly an option for us to choose as far as who could do the job. I guess, from my perspective, in the end, it ended up being my project. I had to run it from my perspective. So I needed somebody who could manage the project, so I didn't have time to manage the project myself. I needed someone to take care of all of the timelines, project management, well, obviously design as well. And because Interlock had all those things together, it was a really good solution for me to answer those questions. And when you don't know, you've got no idea about design or what have you, I think from my perspective, the things I've learned along the way and talking to people along the way, the things that I didn't appreciate that Interlock offered, which at the end, the little things that in talking to other people, I've realised that the things that they've done really well, and things that I kind of took for granted and didn't realise how lucky I was in the end. The little details and things like the symmetry of the kitchen, the windows, the height of this room, all these things that I had no idea about, but I guess you have to trust. You trust the company that you're going with to make all these decisions that are going to suit you. And I didn't have any idea, but I had to place that trust in Interlock. And I'm so grateful that I did, because what we have here now is amazing. We had a few issues that popped up along the way, like new leaks in other places, but any issue that happened along the way, anything that I picked up along the way, and I guess I was the biggest critic, because I was living through the whole process and I could have a look every day to see sort of what was happening and what had changed for the day. And I love the big reveal at the end of every day to see what's been done today. But any issue along the way, I was in constant touch with the foremen who were here on site. Any issue they dealt with straight away, or we discuss a solution for it, or they come back with how we're going to deal with it. So just communication was brilliant. You had them there all the time to answer any questions that you had, or to allay any fears that you had. Just made the whole process really seamless, and as smooth as you could have a big construction project. I can't speak highly enough of the Interlock team. Every aspect of the work that they've done here has just been, just extraordinary, really, when you think about a construction project and what has been involved here. Little things like if I think about the lights here, suggesting I was trying to maintain a budget and trying to go for a cheaper option, and then there was Angie, for example, would say, you probably should look at something, you might just impact the whole look, so just stretch a little bit more to get a little bit that looks nicer. And I think ultimately what we have here now, all those little tips along the way, all those little things made a massive difference. Would I recommend them? Yeah, wholeheartedly.